I'll switch now to domestic issues, the topic of Wall Street. I want to ask you both about the political idea of Wall Street and then also the substantive debate you had with Hillary Clinton. First, the Democrats have been having a debate about how to build the party, why Democrats are doing poorly at everything but the presidential level. And some Democrats argue that the fight over how to regulate Wall Street, the idea of breaking up the banks, the idea of basically making Wall Street a boogeyman, is important not just substantively, but also to send a message to voters across the country that this is a party that wants to realign the playing field. Do you see that do you see it in that way?
Well, I think in this case, good public policy is good politics. What you have on Wall Street is a handful of banks with incredible economic and political power. These are the people whose greed and recklessness and illegal behavior destroyed the lives or impacted the lives of millions of people, lost their homes, their jobs, and their life savings. Then they got bailed out by the taxpayers, and today 3 out of the 4 largest are bigger than they were before we bailed them out. These are, with 6 large banks, have assets equivalent to 56% of the GDP of the United States of America. To me, it is obvious. And by the way, I should tell you, as somebody who led the effort against deregulation, we have got to break them up so that we don't go through another economic meltdown. And we've got to break them up because they simply have too much economic power. They issue 2/3 of the credit cards and 1/3 of the mortgages in America. So I think reestablishing Glass-Steagall and breaking them up is good public policy, and it is what the American people want to see happen.
After the first Democratic debate, Paul Krugman, who wrote in the New York Times a piece that said basically because there's going to be a Republican House, there is limited in terms of what a Democratic president can do to change the banks. And therefore, you and Hillary Clinton are roughly equivalent because you would never be able to get past what you would want to get past. What do you think of that argument?
Well, John, you know, I've heard that argument many times, and I really don't accept that. What I am trying to do in this campaign, with some success, is to call for what I call a political revolution, to rally millions of people, many of whom have given up on the political process, young people who have never been involved before, working people have been so alienated by big money in politics, they've kind of tuned out. And we're trying to bring them together. And when you bring people together to fight for an agenda, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, pay equity for women workers, creating millions of jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure, and taking on Wall Street and breaking up these banks, I think you can do it. You can only do it, however, if millions of people get involved in the political process in a way that they are not involved right now.
Senator, we have just a minute before the commercial break. I feel like it's last night all over again. I want to ask you about the CBS poll that we have on this question. We asked who could bring more change to Washington. 62% said Hillary Clinton, 51% said you. Do you need to draw the distinction between you and Hillary Clinton more starkly for Democratic voters?
Well, I think, you know, the answer is yes. But I have to tell you, John, we started this campaign at something like 3 or 4% in the polls. We have come a long way in the 6 months that I've been in this race. I think the more people are familiar with Bernie Sanders and the programs that I'm advocating and what I've been trying to do in Congress, the better we are going to do. But Hillary Clinton and I have very substantive disagreements on a number of major issues. And I think what democracy is about is letting the American people hear those differences.
Well, thank you, Senator Sanders. We did that last night, and we look forward to doing it with you again on this show.